I'm taking a little ride with Joe today, guys. The sun is getting ready to set and I'm about to go home to start the process of making some sourdough bread. But I'm so happy to be out the house right now that I'm singing. On a blanket with my baby is where I'll be. Welcome to the Bare Pantry Show. If you want to learn how to cook in simple steps and have your dishes come out great the first time, then you're in the right place. Learn to make restaurant-style meals, comfort foods, and authentic Belizean dishes from basic ingredients. It's a few hours later after a little ride out, guys, and what I'm doing right here is proofing the sponge for one of my starters. So this starter is from 2017. And I've just mixed up the contents that's in the jar. I just took the jars from the fridge. I say jars because I'm going to do two, all right? So I have two different starters out. So I'm adding 1 cup of all-purpose flour to 1 cup of filtered water in my cup, mixing it well, and then I'm just going to dump it into the bowl. All right? So this process usually takes 3 hours, but I'm going to do it overnight. Take a look at what they look like, foamy and bubbly. Now let me grab some shrink wrap. And this is a brand new one, and of course it doesn't have a starting point. This sucks, and this is supposed to be a good brand, right? It's frustrating. So let me grab this one, and this is store-bought brand, and I hate it because of this. It'll just cling to itself. Now once I can get it to uncling, I'll just set it loosely over the bowls. See you guys tomorrow morning. A special shout out to everybody who's been picking up the books. You guys are so amazing. You're a blessing to the show. Check below to see how to purchase, and of course don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you can know when I upload another video. Alright, so we're making the mother. I'm pouring out 1 cup of the proofed sponge from one of my bowls, because remember I'm doing 2 loaves today. And now to this we're just gonna add half a cup of all-purpose flour to half a cup of filtered water. That's Jada that you saw behind me. She didn't know that I was recording. Then let me give it a stir to make it into a paste. And then I'm going to add the cup of proof sponge to the same measuring cup, because this is the easiest way to get it back into the jar. You have to use something that has a spout, okay? Mix it well and then pour it back into my clean jar that I've washed. This is the only time that the jar gets washed, when I'm going to make bread. Alright, so let's measure out to see how much of the proof sponge we have. Normally we should have about 2 to 2.5 cups. But sometimes, because I eyeball all these measurements, sometimes we get a little bit more. So let me grab a bowl and then pour it into the bowl. So this is 1 cup. And let's measure again. This is 2. Yeah, I think I'm going to get at least 3 for this one. So this one might be a bigger loaf than the other one if we get less on the other one, okay? Let me set this aside and see. Yeah, this is a little bit less than half a cup. So I would say about 3 1/4 cup of the proof sponge we got for this one. So let me set this aside and work on the other one. This is half cup of flour and half cup of filtered water. And I'm stirring up my proofed sponge and then measuring out 1 cup. We're making the mother again for the second one. So everything's mixed together, then pour it in this jar. This one was made during quarantine 2020, guys, March 2020. So I'm trying to measure how much of the proof sponge I have on this one, right? And Joe's like, can you please get out the way, because I need to check on my wings. He's making wings at breakfast time, guys, but I promised you guys that I was going to show you what goes on behind the scenes when I'm trying to do stuff. Is that little tab on my sleeve bugging you guys the way it's bugging me? I'm going to have to fix this. I think I may have lost a button. This is one of my favorite shirts from my mom. My mom used to wear this shirt. So this is 2 cups. So I think I'm getting 2.5 cups on this one. So this might be a smaller loaf. So because Joe is doing wings, I had this idea to do some sourdough waffles. This starter didn't come out so good when I made it, so I just save it for waffles because it has a beautiful flavor, but it doesn't do the loaves really well. So I'm gonna eyeball half of this and pour it out. We don't have to proof the sponge on this one. So this is kind of like when you're feeding the starter. Pour out half, put half a cup of flour to half a cup of filtered water, mix it up into a paste, and just pour that into the jar. So we didn't empty the whole contents of the jar, if you noticed. So this is a different process. This is not proofing the sponge, this is feeding the starter. And the leftovers that I would have thrown down the sink if I didn't want to make something is what I'm going to use to make the waffles. Now Joe's checking on his wings again, and even Jory's in the kitchen right now because he's getting ready to grab a snack before he has to go back into his room and work again. Look at Joe's wings. They're coming out pretty decent for not frying them. So this is a 1/4 teaspoon, and this is salt. And yes, this recipe is in my cookbook, the Pantry Laid Bare, and it's in the section with all the sourdough stuff. Okay, I have a whole chapter on sourdough stuff in the book. So let me grab my egg. I'm going to show you guys this right here. This is the page that you can find this. I'm doing the half recipe, not the full recipe for the waffles, okay? And this is some lactose-free milk. And don't forget the sugar. It's not a whole lot. It's just 1.5 teaspoons. 1.5 teaspoons granulated white sugar. Let me show you. See? It looks big, right? But it's just 1.5 teaspoons. So let me grab a whisk. And whisk away. Now what I normally do is heat up the waffle iron first before I brush it with a little bit of butter. Okay, just a little touch in all the 4 sections on the top and on the bottom. I don't put the butter first before I heat it up because then the butter will burn. So you notice that the batter looks very thin, right? This is the way we want it to be. And we're just going to get like 1.5. Sometimes like I stretch it and I get 2. But we're going to get 1.5. And when it says ready, I'm putting away my salt and pepper containers. I just love this thing that Joe gave me. Look, guys. See Joe behind me messing with the wings again? They look really good. He decided he was not going to fry these hot wings today. So let's do the half. Look how we just diverted and did a whole different thing. You know, we're doing bread and now we're doing waffle. And Joe's putting his buffalo red hot wings. This is going to be hot. Ooh, I'm going to eat the fringe. Joe's going to eat it with the Happy Cow cheese that Uncle Roger sent. Now let's get back to the bread, guys. We've goofed off enough. So 2 tablespoons of granulated white sugar. And don't forget that we're doing 2 different loaves, alright? So let me grab my second bowl and put the same amount of sugar in that one. And then 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. You can use vegetable oil if that's all you have. So let me add this to this bowl. And salt. 1 teaspoon of salt in each bowl. That's all it is. Now all we have to do is stir this up and add as much flour as we need to make the dough form. So I'm going to start off with 2 cups for this one because this is my bigger one. Now let's mix, guys. I'm using this little spatula that came with a cupcake measuring thing so you can measure cupcake batter. I like it because it's very inflexible and it can give the dough a good stir. So let me get my ring off because I'm going to get my hands in here. Let me work it, picking up all the dry flour and stuff off the edge because the dough is still very sticky. Okay. At some point, it's going to get annoying in the bowl, so you're going to want to dump it on the countertop and just knead. There's no set time that I can give you to knead. You just want to go ahead and knead it until it's smooth and not too sticky, alright? But you don't want it too dry either, so be careful how you add the flour. This is not feeling too bad at all. I still feel some sticky parts in the middle when I get my fingers in there. Now form it into a ball and put it back in the same bowl. You don't even have to wash the bowl. I'm going to grease the top with some butter, but you can also use oil. Let me set this one aside and work on the other one. Doing the same thing, using the spatula here to stir and then add the flour. And for this one I needed less flour than the first one because this had less of the proofed sponge, less of the liquid. So stir this up really well. And then get my hand in here again. This one's super sticky, so let me get more flour. Dump it out onto the counter. And sometimes I'll make like 4 loaves for the sourdough and I'll give away some, but I haven't really given anything away since, you know, who came to town, because, you know, we don't know if we're asymptomatic, you know what I mean? I don't want to give nobody nothing, so, or potentially give somebody something. So this one I'm using olive oil. It's 10 o'clock in the morning and the doughs are covered up, and I'll see you guys in about 5 to 6 hours. This is what, 5.5 hours later, 3:37 in the evening. It's ready for me to re-knead, and I just want to get all the air out of the dough. And it's such a soft, supple dough that I don't even need the rolling pin to form this into a loaf. I'm just going to press it out with my hands and give it a moment to relax. Relax, dough, relax. And then fold the 2 ends like this on top of each other, like folding a letter. Pinch it shut and then fold the ends. Well, it's going to be, you know, underneath, but it was upward just now. I've greased my loaf pan, set it in here, press it down, and then I want to go ahead and grease it again, this time with olive oil. I'm trying to avoid the butter, so I just did the butter once. And then we're going to do it for the next one, and then set them aside. Look, my hand's oily. Cover it up. See you guys in a couple of hours. So we have to make sure that it doubles in size again, and that can take upwards of 1 hour to 2 hours, okay? I'm zooming in.
It's not done yet.
Okay, let's do it first.
Where do you want to see my clip? He's not finished yet.
It's cute. And a couple hours later, the minute I took a phone call, Joe put the loaves into bake and didn't tell me. Okay, it is 6:51 in the evening. So Joe pushed the bread in the bake without telling me, because I was talking to his mom on the phone. I want to show you guys something though. Every time the bread is almost done, I do that to it. I turn it over and I let the bottom get crusty and hard. I like it like that, okay? So once you see the top looks brown and the bread is pretty much done, but it's still light in color on the bottom, just flip it over and bake. Who says you can't, right? Anyways, I was talking to Joe's mom in the room, and I came out to see if the bread was ready, and Joe goes, it was over raising. See what was happening to this one? Show this, Josh. It was over raising, and so I pushed it in because the oven was hot, and I'm like, but I'm taping a show. But in his defense, he didn't know I was taping a show because the show started last night. And here it is ready now. The sourdough bread don't take this long, okay? Don't take no 24 hours. You set the sponge to proof for 3 hours, and then you knead the bread, and that takes about 6 hours to raise, and then another hour or 2. So that's what, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours. This took almost 24 because we set it to proof overnight, so we were sleeping all that time. So now what Joe, I was telling my mother-in-law that Joe will be hateful and he will cut the 2 backs off of one of the loaves, and then the bread will just like crumble because I won't be able to slice it because I don't have the back to hold on to it. And I said, who does that, you know? And she goes, she names her other son, Joe's younger brother, Ewart, and go, Ewart. He goes, they're definitely related. He does that all the time. Like, you better leave these bread alone because I got to do a photo shoot tomorrow morning. And such is my life sometimes, guys. Sometimes we just can't have this stuff ready in time. Let's top the bottom. You hear that? That's how you know it's done. And if you leave it, let it cool down for a while and not cut into it too quickly, the bread is still continuing to cook right here. Right here as we talk, the bread is continuing to cook. Then I'll take my thumbnail picture in the morning, and then I guess, you know what? I'm gonna taste when Joe tastes. I'm gonna throw Joe under the bus. I got a cut today on my finger. The stupid rice cooker bin cut me. And I don't know what part of it has a sharp, it's under the lip of it. I gotta see what's under there so Joe can file it down. Anyways, guys, this is the bread. Here, this might be my thumbnail. Ready, Josh? Joe, guess what? I'm cutting the bread. It's still warm, guys. Oh, listen to that. Look at this. Mira. Gorgeous. Let's cut the other one. Knife keeps wanting to slip. So this one got taller, you notice? Beautiful, guys. So Joe can get a back and I can get a back. Joe, which back you want? What are you looking for? What are you looking for?
This one better.
Why?
More coffee.
Oh my God, it's the same thing?
Give me this one.
Oh my God. Joe, feel this though, feel this.
Nice and soft.
Oh my God. Joe, you already eating bread, now you're gonna put butter?
Sometimes I just have a splurge.
Alright, tell the peeps how it tastes.
It's good, people. It's good. It wake me up.
You waited all day for these, huh, babe? Now you can't be eating them up tomorrow morning because I gotta go take a thumbnail, okay?
I better get up pretty early because if I...
And he means it too. I feel like that's how heaven smells. Freshly baked bread. Remember, guys, we are not buying this book. Because if you do, the only people that are making money from that book are my ex-distributor and Amazon. Pick up this book instead. This is my Belizean cookbook. It has 120 authentic Belizean dishes that I've done on the show already, but now you can have it in print so you can follow along and your dishes will come out perfect each time. Hot off the presses, this is my second cookbook, guys. It's called the Pantry Laid Bare, and I named it that because I laid everything on the line when I picked the recipes for this book, alright? 111 delicious dishes from basic ingredients. To purchase, just check below on any of my videos and you'll see the different methods of payment and also the shipping. Thanks, guys.
Won't you come and try this warm delight? This is the Bare Pantry Show.